Truth Unveiled here, and today I have a lot to share with you, so I want to get right into it. And as a warning, I just hope all of you are starting to stock up on food, weapons, ammo, and drinks, especially water, because the economic collapse is here, and I'm going to show you how. Today I'm going to be talking about the Baltic Dry Index, or the BDI, and how this has to do with your food and drinks in stores, and how it could affect the ensuing economy. And remember, we are to be wise as serpents, just like Joseph and how they prepared for the 7-year famine before it actually happened. We are to prepare before the economic collapse and make sure our families and ourselves have enough food and enough resources so that when tragedy does strike, we are ready. So I'm here at zerohedge.com and I'm going to share a little bit of this, but I thought it was interesting. It says nothing is moving. Baltic dry crashes as insiders warn commerce has come to a halt. The continued collapse of the Baltic Dry Index, and I'll show you that stock later on in the video, remains ignored by most. Besides, we still have Netflix, right? But as Dollar Vigilante's Jeff Berwick details, it appears the worldwide real economy has ground to a halt. Last week I received news from a contact who is friends with one of the biggest billionaire shipping families in the world. Now listen to this. He told me they had no ships at sea right now because operating them meant running at a loss. This weekend alone, reports are circulating saying much the same thing. The North Atlantic has little or no cargo ships traveling in its waters. Instead, they are anchored, unmoving, and get this, empty. So what does that tell us? If these ships are not moving, if these cargo ships are empty, if there's nothing in them, how do you expect to get food? How will food be delivered to the grocery stores? Are you starting to see how things are adding up? We looked at the Dow today, and the Dow dropped another 364 points today or so. And actually, I can take you to an article with the Dow and just how much it's collapsing, and same with the Chinese market. But what I'm telling you is, and just like I said in my bailouts video, when the collapse gets here, it's going to get here. It's going to strike like a thief in the night, honestly. You're not going to even know it and expect it. And like I said, what that means is if there are no ships coming in, that means that no one's going to be able to get their food. Grocery stores aren't going to be able to stock up. The grocery stores are going to shut down. The shutdown has already begun. And this gives a map of the ships and where they mostly are, and it just looks like it's been a stop movement. And here's the graph of the Baltic Dry Index and how it looks. As you can see, towards 2016, it's at the lowest that it's been since ever. And I'll show you a better graph too. And I'm also here at this website, superstation95.com. It says historic first, North Atlantic empty of cargo ships in transit, all anchored along coasts, none moving. Why do you think that is? Why are they no longer moving the ships? I wonder why. And it says, commerce between Europe and North America has literally come to a halt. For the first time in known history, not one cargo ship is in transit in the North Atlantic between Europe and North America. All of them, hundreds, are either anchored offshore or in part. Nothing is moving. Let me highlight that. Nothing is moving. This has never happened before. It is a horrific economic sign, proof that commerce is literally stopped. And why has commerce stopped? They say people aren't buying things, blah, blah, blah. There's not enough, things to buy and stuff like that. Tumbling dollar, economic collapse imminent. Why am I telling you this? Why am I warning you this? Because think about it this way. If the ships have stopped coming in, if they stop moving between Europe and North America, what does that tell you? No one's going to be getting their goods. That means there will be no food being shipped in, which also means when you go to the store one day, there's going to be no food there because that store did not receive any shipments of food. And you don't want to be one of those people who go to the store one day and there's no food left because everybody bought it all out. But that's exactly what's happening. The economic collapse is basically here, and people have been brainwashed and conditioned into thinking that everything's okay. I don't know if you all saw the State of the Union Obama's so-called last State of the Union, when we know darn well that will not be his last State of the Union. But I just want to address what he was talking about with the economy being well and the economy being okay, and that everybody who's talking about economic collapse is crazy. Well, according to stock markets and according to evidence and according to research done by so-called expert economists, the economy is far from okay, and it's right at the brink of a collapse that we have not seen since 2008 and even since 1929, the Great Depression. We are there, folks, and it's only going to get worse from here. And I'm showing you this so that you can prepare ahead of time and not be one of those people who are stuck scrambling for crumbs. Okay, so now we are at the index, and as you can see, the Baltic Dry Index, it dropped another 394 points today, or about close to 2%. Now, if I go to the 5-year mark, you'll see here that it's right here as of today. And as you can see, it's at the lowest, this index here that manages all the cargo ships, it's at the lowest in history. Never has it been this low, but now it is, and people still think that the economy is okay. The 1-year return says it dropped almost 50%. That's a big drop, folks. Like, this is no joke. And now my final place I'm going to show you before I show you the stock market is Dave Hodges' The Common Sense Show. Now, if you have not heard of him, I highly recommend you visit his website because he gives a lot of good information about insider knowledge, martial law, the economy, the coming economic collapse, and everything else. I highly recommend you check him out. He says, and he posted this today, food and medicine will soon be unobtainable. If product is not moving, just as we saw, the ships have been stopped, they're not moving, just as I've shown you, then how will you get your food, medicine, and other essential supplies? And that's the question for today. Farmed economists John Williams from Shadow Stats and Joseph Meyer, Straight Money Analysis, will tell you that the Baltic Dry Index, or the BDI, is the best indicator of the economic health of the economy. If that's the case, and economists are saying this, professional economists, and I just showed you the BDIY, or the Baltic Dry Index, and I showed you that in the past 5 years it's at its lowest, what does that tell you? That tells you that the economy is about to plop, go down the drain. It's even at the door. So then he goes on to write, unfortunately, the BDI has just dropped another 3.1% to a new record low of 402. To anyone who knows anything about economics, it is clear that the end of this financial era is quickly coming to an end, and I have to argue it is already at the end. The MSM conspires to keep the truth from the people, or as he likes to call it, the mainstream media. So you have your CNNs, your Foxes, all of them are totally ignoring the precipitous and unprecedented drop in the BDI and in the Dow Jones and other places. However, the impending financial crisis is not going unnoticed by those who manage the shipping industry. They recognize this as the total disaster that it is. For example, total orders at the shipyards in China have dropped off by nearly 60% in the first 11 months of last year, according to Bloomberg. So what is the mainstream media doing? What is their agenda? They are trying to soften you and condition your mind into thinking that everything's okay, that you don't have to stockpile food, you don't have to get anything ready, you don't have to prepare, that the economy's okay, that it's going to get better and everything's going to be okay in Obama's so-called last year of office, when we know better, because the stock markets, like this one, seem to say otherwise. And he goes on to say that in Obama's last, or so-called last, State of the Union address, he failed to mention that he will not be leaving office anytime soon, because we know he's going to stay in office. The coming catastrophe will soon allow him to stay on as president in order to manage the present crisis and to, of course, save the American people, or as I like to call it, slave the American people, just as he's been doing. So he then goes on to talk about the economy and its standstill and what's been happening. So he says, as shipping and manufacturing continue to crumble, we're going to see shortages in America that we have never seen. And like I said, you're going to start seeing stores no longer being able to stock up on food. You're going to start seeing stores and grocery stores and markets, they're going to say, oh, sorry, we don't have any food. We haven't received a shipment today. Come back later. When you start to hear that, the alarm bell should be ringing in your head, because that tells you, and just as I've shown you in these articles, they're not going to be shipping food here anymore. Then he talks about Michael Schneider and what he's been talking about, and we'll go to his article too. So he even says it's like the Monday before Black Tuesday in 1929, and that's what it is. There's so many warnings, so many alarm bells ringing, but people continue to go through life as if nothing is wrong. Logic means nothing to the sheep of America. Proof means nothing to these people, even scriptures from Revelation. So you can keep telling people, but some people will still think that everything's okay. People will just think that you're fear-mongering, as he says. Fear-mongering, like the term conspiracy theorist, was created by the mainstream media in order to marginalize any individual who has serious concerns about the elite and their intentions regarding the direction that the planet, or the plane, the flat earth, is headed. See, you all need to understand something. You all need to understand the agenda. What they're trying to do is they're trying to condition you to make you think that everything's okay and try to silence everybody else like myself. And that's why people are already going to say, oh, you're fear-mongering. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, no, the economy as well. No, I'm trying to prepare you for the economic collapse. I want you to be ready so that when things do happen, you will be ready. Your family will be ready. You all will have enough food to be ready. So in short, store food and water, buy guns, and convert your cash to gold and silver. Now, the whole gold and silver thing, personally, I'm not a fan of that, because I know when the economy collapses, everything's going to collapse with it. And really the goods are going to come from what you stocked in: food, toiletries, toilet paper, water. That's really going to become the new commodity. Trust me. And now I'm going to show you the Dow Jones as well, and then give you my little 2 cents on what you need to do. Here I am at the Economic Collapse blog, by Michael Schneider again. He just posted this today. If you've been peeping game, the Dow fell another 364 points today, and now we're down 2,200 points from the peak of the market. That's a big drop, folks. This is no joke. And he goes on to talk about the economy and just how bad it is in relation. Now, I'm gonna leave a link for this article and for his website, because I think you need to see just how close we are. So, in short summary, what do you need to do? You need to start stocking up food, water now. Stock up on rice, stock up on pasta, stock up on beans, stock in bulk. Go to Sam's Club, Walmart, start stocking up on bulk foods so that you have enough. Canned foods is a good one too. Really start stocking up now, because I'm telling you now that the ships have stopped coming in, and that, like this article says, there's literally no ships coming in. They're all empty. No ships are moving. That means no commerce is coming in, no food's coming in, nothing is coming in. And you know what that means. What comes after that is when the economy does collapse, just like I shared in my bail-in video, when the banks start to shut down, when the ATMs no longer work, well, now there are no cargo ships coming in. So now that means no food's coming in. So when all the grocery stores are out of food now, well, that's it. There's no more food. So you don't want to be trapped and caught in that mess, because I'm telling you now, when people can't get their food, when people can't get their water, there will be anarchy. And like I said, this is not meant to be fear-mongering. This is not meant to spread fear. What I'm trying to do is prepare you, show you the warning signs, get the truth out there about our economy so that you all may be well with you. You will prepare. You will get enough food and enough drinks and enough supplies for your family, and also toiletries like toilet paper, tissue, flashlights, matches, candles. You'll have enough materials for you so that your family will survive the coming collapse, and you won't be like all the millions of sleeping Americans out there who aren't even prepared, or who don't even know what's going on because they believe CNN, they believe Fox, and worst of all, they believe Obama. So I'm just going to leave that out there. And like I said, my job is to bring you the truth. My job is to sound the alarm, and my job is to let you know and warn you what's going on in the world around you, because there's so many distractions out there. There's so much going on out there, and there's so much TV that you don't really know, that it's keeping you distracted from what's really going on in the world around you, that you don't even know what's going on. So hopefully I can be a resource for you to lead you into truth and lead you into the right direction, so that way you can start preparing for the coming collapse, because this has never happened before, never in history. So why it's happening now, with the convergence of the Dow falling 2,200 points within the past month or so, that should be ringing some alarm bells. I'm going to leave the links below. Please comment. If you have any other helpful solutions, that would be great. This is Truth Unveiled. Shalom.